After I rescued Allie and her mother along with Sienna Shaw and the rest of her friends, I had sex with the 18-year-old version of Sienna Shaw, Allie Thompson, and Allie's mother, and I even managed to get Celine the death dealer herself from the Underworld movies, and she looks just like Kate Beckinsale, and I even managed to have sex with Tara Hayes and her sister and Tara's best friend Dawn, and a beautiful police officer that I'm very fond of role-playing with, and right now I have all my clothes back on and I'm telling all the main characters in Terrifier 2 the truth about myself and the fact that I have all the powers of a literal god, and needless to say it scared Jeff and Brooke, but my new girlfriends weren't afraid. In fact, Allie even said, and I quote, "I knew something was special about you and I'm glad I had sex with you, and I was right to have sex with you." And then I replied by saying, "Yes ma'am, in my case you all got lucky because I can actually give you all anything you want." And then Brooke said, "Okay, now I'm starting to get a bit jealous, but all of you do realize this man isn't normal, right?" And then I said, "Well, for someone that has godlike powers, I have to say I am actually being more normal than most other people like me. I mean, other beings like myself are like, bow down to me or die, and you will be tormented if you don't worship me. I don't act like a tyrant god, and I could care less what all of you humans worship. All that I know is that I was born with all my powers and I can do whatever I want with my powers, so I choose to do the right thing instead trying to make people do things they don't really want to do. Instead, I actually help people with my powers, and I will say this also, God is real and he's the same way I am. He could care less who you all worship and you're all allowed to do whatever you want, but he will punish the evil you all do. That much I can promise all of you." And then Jeff asked me, "So God is real?" And then I said, "Yes Jeff, God is very real and I met him and he has seen everything you all do, and I mean everything." And then Brooke said, "I will keep that in mind." And then I said, "You need to stop doing drugs, Brooke, and you too Jeff." And then after I showed them everything the women I had sex with moved in my new Voorhees mansion with me, and I took care of them and our children. I told Celine who and what I really am after she helped turn me into a powerful hybrid of vampire and werewolf, and her and part of her vampire coven came to live near me so that they could keep an eye on me and protect me and my family, because Victor knows that I have the powers of a god. I had managed to stop every major threat in my new world before it all became a real problem. And then I learned of everything else. I learned of the puzzle box that could summon demons, so I went to the puzzle box and I summoned a female Pinhead, and she asked me, "What do you desire?" And then I said, "I want nothing but to rule your realm." And then I stuck my hand up and I absorbed all the powers of Leviathan, and after I was done I gained all the powers of Leviathan and total control of all the Cenobites, and I said, "Now to make you look beautiful." And then I removed everything that made Pinhead look like a monster and I healed her entire body, making her look very beautiful but bald with pale white skin, and I did the same thing to the other Cenobites. And then Pinhead asked me, "What do you want from me, master?" And then I said, "I think you know the answer to that, my love." And then I took Pinhead into my dimension and I made love to her until I got her pregnant, and I did the same thing with all the other female Cenobites, and I said, "Learn this action well, because one thing I know that will attract most humans to our puzzle box is sex and lust, and that's why I tell you all now, prey on the lust of humanity, and most of the time you will win, because all humans eventually become lonely and they all desire a romantic partner." And then Pinhead said, "It's genius, and unlike Leviathan, I'm not trapped in the puzzle box with the rest of Cenobites. Since I have the powers of outer god, I can do anything I want." And I was also surprised to find out that my world is trying to create the zombie virus, and I found out that it's actually the crossed virus, so I stopped that from ever happening. Using all my extraordinary powers, I changed my horror universe for the better, but evil always finds a way. On my travels I encountered the wish master, the Jinn, and he asked me to make 3 wishes instead. I said, "I want nothing from you," and then I stuck out my hand and I formed a destroyer key energy blast, powerful to vaporize even something as powerful as the wish master. And then I said Hakai, and I destroyed the wish master with a single destroyer key energy blast. And then that's when I finally decided to make Dragon Balls for my Earth, except my Dragon Balls can grant any wish no matter what it is, and then I created them to be the same size as the Namekian Dragon Balls.